65 million years ago, there were no humans, no cities, no iPhones, but there was already a story. It was the story of life on Earth, and we're going to go back even further than that. We're going to try to get to the very beginning of that story. Okay, so we're all made of atoms. Like if you broke your arm, you would see that it's made of atoms. You could even break down those atoms into subatomic particles. But where did those particles come from? Well, they came from the Big Bang. There was this unimaginably hot, unimaginably dense ball of stuff, and then it exploded. Okay, technically, it didn't explode. It expanded. Explosions are really complicated, and scientists don't like them because things explode outwards. But then you have to ask what exploded, and what did it explode in? And then that just makes more questions. So anyway, it just expanded. And then about 100 seconds after the Big Bang, that unimaginably hot ball of stuff had cooled off enough for protons and neutrons to start combining and make atomic nuclei. They started making some deuterium, some helium, and also some lithium. This is kind of hard to believe, but most of the rest of the stuff in the universe was made in a star. Okay, so let's talk about stars. Stars are big balls of gas held together by gravity. In the center, the pressure and heat are so intense that hydrogen atoms are getting fused together to make helium. That's what makes a star shine. Stars can shine for billions of years. And when they die, they explode, and that's called a supernova. And during the supernova, even heavier elements get forged in the core of that star. And after the star explodes, those elements get thrown out into space. So now we're at a place where we've got some small rocky planets and some larger, gassy planets forming in this part of the universe. But there aren't any people yet. There's not even any goo. But there is carbon, oxygen, nitrogen, phosphorus, and sulfur. These are the key ingredients for life as we know it. Now, here's the thing about life. Life tends to happen in organic molecules based on carbon. Carbon is great for this because it can form 4 bonds and do all kinds of interesting things. Here's a molecule that you might have heard of. It's called methane. It has 1 carbon atom and 4 hydrogen atoms. Here's another one. You might have heard of this one too. It's called water. See, we need carbon and we need hydrogen. We also need oxygen and phosphorus and nitrogen and sulfur. We need all these elements that came from the star. And here's the other thing about life. Life needs liquid water. Liquid water is pretty rare in the universe because most places are either too cold or too hot. But Earth happens to be in this Goldilocks zone around the sun, where it's just right for water to be liquid. So now we've got some organic molecules floating around in the atmosphere. We've got liquid water on the surface. We've got a nice little planet with an atmosphere and liquid water, and then lightning happens. Lightning is kind of like a primitive battery. It starts to crackle and spark, and the organic molecules get energized and start reacting with each other. One theory says that it started to rain, and the water carried these molecules into the sea. And that's how we went from organic molecules to amino acids to proteins. Then over the next billion years or so, things gradually got more complex until 300 million years ago when we had the first fish. But that's not the beginning. We're still looking for that first little spark, that moment when non-living stuff became living stuff. But we know that the ingredients were brought here by a star that exploded and scattered its guts all over the universe. And without that star, we wouldn't be here. So maybe there's some kind of lesson in there about the interconnectedness of all things. Or maybe it's just a coincidence. Maybe we just got lucky. But either way, we're here.